Good morning, everybody. So today we are going to start with optimization of a deep learning network. Up till now, we've already understood what is deep learning, what does it imply, that word deep in this deep learning, what is backpropagation, what are the gradients, gradient descent, what are the different type of optimizers which are used. And also we have seen what is overfitting, what is underfitting. So how to choose an optimum good network, what makes us decide that what should be the depth. So with this understanding, and especially of bias and variance, how they are related in deciding the structure of the network. So let's now move further that now we know what is the structure of a deep learning network. So how to optimize it? We have built it, how to optimize it. So first thing which affects is our choice of optimizer. So the choice of optimizer, when I say optimizer, is how our weights they are going to get updated. What is the dependence? Are we using any momentum factor with that? Are we putting some extra factor, or are we making the learning rate adaptive? So all these things which are going to govern how my weights for the next layer, when they're back propagated, they are getting updated. That is what your optimizer does. So normally, as of now, we have understood gradient descent is broadly a term for your optimization. But yes, we have different type of optimizers. It is a stochastic gradient descent, it is mini batch gradient descent, or it is a batch gradient descent, or it is RMS prop, or it is Adam optimizer. So these are the choices we can have, which will tell that the way the weights they are getting updated. And definitely the choice of optimizer, it is going to affect the speed, convergence, and the performance of my network. Okay, of my model. So next we come to is the choice of loss function. As far as loss function is concerned, loss function, we are dealing only with mean square error as of now in the flow. And when we understood what is bias, what is variance, so we have defined it. And same is being used to backpropagation. But yes, we can have the choice what we want to reduce. What is my cost function that can be there? So it is different when we go for regression, and it is different when we go for a classification problem. Typically, we are using mean square error. That is a regression problem loss function, or the cost of the objective function. Whereas for this classification, typically we use the cross entropy as the loss function. Apart from that, we can use the mean average error MAE also for that. So we have different choices on that, though we are not mathematically covering that, but yes, we should be having understanding that what we are trying to reduce. And that is very important because that is the essence of our whole training. हमें क्या reduce करना है, what I'm going to, what I want to achieve. So that is what is the defining objective of my whole training of the model. So the choice of right loss function is very, very important. Like we cannot use cross entropy, it will not give me the optimized results if I'm using it for a linear regression. There's no point for that. Okay. So definitely I cannot expect that kind of accuracy or results using a wrong loss function. Then we come to the most important part which is there, that is by hyperparameter tuning. So this is what is we are going to focus on. Apart from that, increasing training data, data augmentation, these are typically the ways how to overcome overfitting. So definitely they are going to improve the performance of my network, because overfit network is not going to give me the good results, good test results. But that is not our focus. Our focus is in general, what are the parameters we have to take care when we are optimizing our network. So let's move ahead with the hyperparameter tuning. So when I talk about hyperparameters, there are four main parameters in general. So it is the learning rate, it is regularization, momentum factor, and the sparsity. When I say learning rate, we've already seen that in the backpropagation also. Learning rate is it has a typical value between 0 and 1, which checks the step size in which I'm moving along the trajectory of my inner surface. That when I'm going from one point to another, what is the step size? What is the jump I'm going to take? No, it is very important because the performance is critical to the choice of the learning rate. Many models, they even go for the adaptive learning rate, which continuously decays with time. That is one way. So if I take it to be too small, definitely if it is too small, it is going to be more precise. I can just think by learning rate to be a quantization of a smooth surface. So I have to mimic, I have to move along that surface so that I am reaching the minimum point. That is the object. So definitely smaller the step size, more accuracy would be there. It would follow my path more closely, but then the learning time it increases exponentially because it is going to follow the entire path, and the first minimum or the minimas what I'm facing that may not be necessarily the global minima. There may be local minimas in a path. Again, that depends what is the starting point. So in general, my learning rate, if it is too small, if it is closer to 1, it can lead to this kind of problem. So what is the other way out? Other way out is if we increase the step size. Now that increase has to be balanced because if the step size is too large, it will lead to the oscillatory behavior because my fluctuations will be too many. Maybe I'm missing on the global minima. I'm jumping to another part which is already missed. The step size is so large. So it definitely leads to a slower learning, more of fluctuations, and definitely the oscillatory behavior, which is not preferred in my learning curve. Then we come to the next term is momentum. Now, if you remember the basic equation of my learning is this is my weight update equation. So my learning is coming through this. Eta is my learning rate. Okay. So typically we are capturing the loss function in this error function of the cost or the objective function E to the power is a function of L. L is denoting the pattern which is applied of my trading sample. Okay. So as such, we think that by weight operation, it depends upon the current gradient position from where we are moving ahead. Okay. Because we are calculating the gradient of the subjective function with respect to our parameter, which is weight in our case. But momentum is required when we are including the past knowledge of my path which is being followed also in that. And that is incorporated using this term alpha into the weight which is there. Alpha is by momentum factor. Again, it varies between 0 and 1. To understand and simply think that if I'm dropping a ball, let's say there is a trough and I'm dropping a ball. Now the ball, if it will come up, rise, it will come up from the other end. डिपेंड्स कि मैंने किस मोमेंटम या किस स्पीड के साथ उसको फेंका है, किस वेलोसिटी से उसको फेंका है. ठीक है. जो मेरी करंट ग्रेडियंट है वो मेरी एक्सेलरेशन को मेजर कर रही है कि एक पॉइंट से बिना एक्सेलरेशन क्या है कि वो अगले पॉइंट तक जाए. लेकिन मैंने उसको किस स्पीड किस वेलोसिटी से उसको चलाया है, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज वो उसको एक मोमेंटम देता है टू ब्रेक इट्स इनर्शिया एंड गो थ्रू. सो अगर हम इमेजिन कर लो बोल है आपका, उस बोल मतलब एक कर्व मेरे पास है, एनी वेसल आई कैन से, उसमें एक बॉल को फेंक रही हूँ फ्रॉम वन एंड एंड आई वांट कि दूसरे एंड से ऐसे कर्व को ट्रैवल करके आए, जो मेरी एरर सर्विस का टिपिकल स्ट्रक्चर होता है. तो इट डिपेंड्स कि मैं इसे किस उसके साथ स्पीड से उसको फेंक रही हूँ. इफ इट इज टू स्लो, टू लेस, इट मीन्स इट विल जस्ट गेट स्टक इन द सेंटर ऑफ दैट वेसल. वेरस अगर उसका मोमेंटम बना रहा तो वो रुकेगा नहीं वहां पे सेंटर में, इट विल rise to the other side, and this is what I want. Okay, so this term is included to give it a momentum, which is measure of nothing but the previous velocity of the measure of its velocity which it is moving along the surface. So it's one of the very important factors, and definitely adding momentum, this is one kind of optimizer which is being used. Then we come to as regularization. Regularization refers in general to any modification I can make so that my generalization error is reduced. Not the training error essentially, because my aim is कि मैंने given set of samples से अपने network को train किया है, और उस training के बाद it is able to capture the relationship between the input and the output, so that जब भी मैं कोई test में नई value देती हूँ जिसका प्रिडिक्शन मेरे पास नहीं है, वो मुझे राइट प्रिडिक्शन दे बेस्ड ऑन वट एवर लर्निंग इट हैज डन। दिस इज द होल एम ऑफ द डीप लर्निंग नेटवर्क। सो मेरा वो आइडिया है कि जो जनरलाइजेशन एरर है, जो अप्रोक्सीमेशन हम कर रहे हैं फंक्शन की बिटवीन द इनपुट एंड द आउटपुट एंड द एक्चुअल फंक्शन विच इज देयर, वो एरर कम, दिस इज माई ऑब्जेक्टिव। ओके, सो इसको हम दो ही तरीके से कर सकते हैं, इधर आई कैन मॉडिफाई द मॉडल पैरामीटर और आई कैन डू सम चेंज इन द ट्रेनिंग प्रोसेस, मीन्स द वेट एप्लीकेशन। सो आर्किटेक्चर चेंज कर सकते हो अपने मॉडल का, या फिर आप प्रोसेस मतलब वेट अपडेशन मेरे ऑप्टिमाइजर में कुछ चेंज कर सकते हो। सो इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए ना, चेंजिंग आर्किटेक्चर इज नॉट अ feasible option everywhere until unless my model is performing very badly. So the other option is that I have to regularize the estimate, मतलब जो मेरी approximation function है between fx, now f cap x is actually the approximation we have been using. I hope you remember, you are able to recollect what is bias variance from that. So f cap x is my approximation. So f cap x approximation है ट्रेनिंग सैंपल के इनपुट और आउटपुट के बीच, और एफ एक्स उनका ट्रू रिश्ता है जो एक्चुअली होल्ड करता है। तो मैं उसको ट्रेन करके आई वांट टू मेक इट एज क्लोज एज पॉसिबल। सो बायस क्या होता है, दोनों के डिफरेंस को हम बायस बोलते हैं, ठीक है। तो इस एस्टिमेटर को व्हेन आई ट्राई टू रेगुलराइज, दैट इज व्हाट द process is known as regularization. So it, what it requires is I am trying to reduce the variance. So it is trying to achieve the trade-off between the variance without increasing the bias. Variance क्या है? Measure of the diversity in my sample space. Okay. So I want to have achieve variance because मुझे सभी features, important features को extract करना है। तो जो मेरे diverse samples हैं मुझे उनको capture करना है so that I don't miss out on any important feature, but at the same time I don't have to uh, lead to the increased difference between my approximated function and the true function value. That is bias. So I can just say that my regularization term in general can be represented by a regularization constant or a multiplier, which is a value between 0 and infinity. 0 means no regularization is applied. Infinity is just an upper cap of it. Obviously, I cannot make it infinity. It is going to be some integer value. Okay, a constant multiplier basically. This is just a denotion of the function. मेरा कोई regularization function क्या है? Function square find out करना है. कुछ मेरा x cube पे depend कर रहा है, weights पे depend कर रहा है, किस पे, मतलब मेरा वो किस चीज का फंक्शन है, बायस को चेंज कर रहे हो हम प्रिडिक्टिव वे में, टाइम डिपेंडेंट फंक्शन है, वेट्स को चेंज कर रहे हैं, सो दैट इज, so there are different ways in which I can achieve the regularization, but yes, we are going to discuss the limited ones only. बहुत सारे तरीके हैं, early stopping is there, L1 L2 being the most common, then there is dropout regularization, but then there is bagging also, but we are not going to focus on all, we are going to focus on only three, that is L2, L1 and dropout regularization. So these work on changing the parameters of my learning फंक्शन की, जो मेरा लॉस फंक्शन अपडेट है, जो मेरा वेट अपडेट है, ये उनको चेंज करने पे फोकस करते हैं L1 और L2. Whereas dropout regularization, it is changing the parameters of my model, that is उसकी स्पैरसिटी को चेंज करते हैं हम मॉडल के नेटवर्क को चेंज करते हैं. Let's briefly go through this. Now in L1 regularization, which is also known as your ridge regression, or it is a weight decay regression इसको बोलते हैं. So this my function, that is my regularization function gamma of weights. So theta in my case is weights. So gamma of W basically. So it is gamma of W. We are not taking biases. So it is nothing but average of your square of the weights. Okay. So I can say that my approximating function is changed by a term, constant term, which is depending upon gamma constant multiplying factor and my square of the weights. So my weight update will be proportional to the loss term, that is my objective function, that is my gradient, plus there would be a regularizing term in which a subset of weights is used whose weights are updated by square, addition of square. So इसका purpose क्या है, इसकी implication क्या होगी मेरे network की? इसकी implication ये है कि I am trying to increase the weighting factor of my weights in the network. So जो weight जितना ज़्यादा होगा मतलब जो important features होंगे, I am able to giving them a raise. I am scaling that. So I'm trying to scale the features of my network. So definitely it is very suitable for the complex patterns, but it works best when the weights are almost similar. Otherwise, my variance would increase too much. So not always preferred, but when my features, number of features which are there in my network, they are too many, then we can bank on end regularization. And yes, it is only applied to set of weights. You cannot apply it to the entire structure of your network, because it will then lead to increased computational complexity and too much of change in the network. That is overfitting, actually. Then we come to next, that is L1 regularization. अब इसमें भी वही है, आप कोई टर्म अपने ऐड कर रहे हो कॉन्स्टेंटली जो आपके लर्निंग को स्केल कर रहा है, लर्निंग को मॉडिफाई कर रहा है. तो नाउ द मॉडिफाइंग फैक्टर इज सिंपली द एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू ऑफ द weights. Okay. Again, there is a constant multiplier, that is gamma. Yes, it is there. So what I'm going to do is, with a constant multiplier, the absolute value of a subset of weights is appended to my weight update equation. That is, along with my gradient, I have a constant term which depends upon the absolute, that is positive value of the weights which are involved by positive value. Now, इसका ये मतलब है कि जो भी मेरे वेट्स, अगर कोई नेगेटिव वेट है, जब मैं उसके साथ एक पॉजिटिव फैक्टर इंक्रीज करूंगी, नेगेटिव मीन्स इट इज अ स्मॉलर वैल्यू, सो नेगेटिव पॉजिटिव इट विल रिड्यूस द वेटेज. सो इसका मतलब जो मेरे आउटलियर्स हैं या जो मेरे फीचर्स हैं जिनकी वैल्यू कम है, सो आई एम गोइंग टू reduce their weightage. So it means it is robust only towards extracting the important or the dominant features from my network. And this definitely speeds up my learning process, and it is going to decrease my variance as well as my bias itself by removing the redundant or the points which are contributing little to my learning. So definitely it is simpler. It is also known as the lasso regularization. So important features are only retained. So it is more robust when the outliers are there, especially in the classification problem. But yes, it cannot be applied to the complex pattern problems because it is not going to work with the diverse feature space. So next we come to is a very simple kind of this regularization technique, that is the dropout. In the dropout technique, सिंपल इसका अगर हम मतलब समझे, मैंने कुछ कनेक्शंस को हटा दिया इटरेटिवली, ओके, और ये कोई मेरा कोई फिक्स टूल नहीं है, मैं रैंडमली आई से कि ओके ये वाले वेट्स, माय नेटवर्क इज बिकमिंग टू कॉम्प्लेक्स, ओवरफिटिंग हो रही है, तो आई विल रिमूव these वेट्स, ये कनेक्शन. सो एक फुली कनेक्टेड नेटवर्क में से आई रिमूव सर्टेन connections between the neurons, so it doesn't remain a fully connected network. And how it is done? So ये आप adaptive बना रहे हो, पहली चीज ये लेयर टू लेयर चेंज करते हैं, फिर हर ट्रेनिंग पैटर्न के साथ आप इसको इटरेटिवली चेंज कर सकते हो. इसका इफेक्ट क्या है? जस्ट लाइक अगर मेरे को मेरा नेटवर्क कॉम्प्लेक्स है तो मुझे नहीं पता कि व्हाट इज द इफेक्ट ऑफ दिस सबसेट ऑफ माय एएनएन. अगर मेरा ये पार्ट ऑफ एएनएन है, अगर मैं इसके वेट्स चेंज करूँ तो क्या इफेक्ट आ रहा है? अब अकेले अकेले अप्लाई करेंगे तो वेरी डिफिकल्ट है. सो आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू see the domination. Yes, it is also going to increase the learning time, but it ultimately leads me to a more conclusive space over the time. सो जिसको आप इटरेटिवली लगाते हैं, सपोज मेरे पास 10 hidden layers neurons are there and I have 5 output layer neurons. So earlier they were fully connected. Okay. I should take between two hidden layers rather. So I have two layers in which I have 10 and another hidden layer I have 5 neurons. So it is fully connected network of 5 cross 7, 5, 5 cross 10. So what I do is in dropout, I see that okay, there is overfitting in my model. So let's remove this randomly. For example, every alternate neuron in my head and I am dropping the weight. So where my computational complexity decreases. And now I'm able to understand कि अगर मैं ये 5 ensemble of neurons apply करती हूँ, what is the effect? So early iteration where I can retain the upper 5, the next I can retain the lower 5. So it means at a time when a group of neurons is applied, I'm able to understand my network better. Though it obviously comes with some cons of increased learning time. But yes, still it is preferred over L1 and L2 because N1 and N2 are constantly apply करते across your entire fully connected network. So there is no adaptability in that. And we know that every neuron in my network has a different capability of learning. So co-adaptation is the term we use for this. So it helps in this dropout technique helps in achieving the adaptation, which is missing in N1 and N2. And how it is guided? It is guided by taking a probability value that can be Bayesian probability, that can be a Bernoulli probability, that can be a Gaussian probability. So whatever. In general, if I go for Bernoulli, around 0.5, dropping 50% of the connection in time, that gives me the best results. Okay, so this is graphical view of what we are saying. So this is a fully connected network. So when I applied dropout, I have dropped the neurons. Yeah, like I said, the alternate, this crossed ones I have just dropped. And just go back to the previous slide. So I've dropped these cross ones. So obviously my computational complexity is decreased. And this ensemble of 1, 2, 3, this is the effect I am able to get कि इनका क्या role है. Similarly, this layer it is different. So it is layer to layer what is being applied. And this is the modified term of my error which is there. So T is my target. These are my weights. I is my input. So I am introducing a term delta I, okay, which is dependent upon the Bernoulli probability, which decides the probability. What are the cons of this technique? It leads to the increased learning time, unpredictable model complexity, and yes, by hyperparameter tuning becomes difficult because हर layer के लिए हम एक different ensemble apply कर रहे हैं, different dropout technique use कर रहे हैं, तो it will lead to difficulty in tuning of the hyperparameters. So then we come to the last factor which is used in optimization. Now this is not a regularization technique. Rather, sparsity is affected by the use of different regularization techniques. So I would just like to go to the previous slide so that you're not confused. So here we talked about the hyperparameter tuning. So ये जो चौथा factor है, ये sparsity है. We have already discussed these three, and the three techniques L1, L2 will drop out for regularization. So sparsity is not regularization technique. It is one of the hyperparameter which has to be tuned, and definitely it is affected by the regularization what we are applying. So coming to the sparsity, so it is one trade-off between the feature extraction and the computational complexity of your network. Sparsity को I can just think as कि मतलब मेरा जो कनेक्शन है, जैसे if I am going for dropout, तो मैंने अपने नेटवर्क को लेस स्पैश कर लिया. Okay, so the effect of my neurons, that is actually what sparsity is going to measure. So it also depends upon the activation what you have used. So the sparsity of activation, it depends upon the number of layers what we are using. So it tries that my values of the activation, they should be near zero. Why? Because to make them neutral, I want them to be around zero so that my unbiased guiding of the network, it goes on. So why it is important? It is important because we are constantly updating our weights. Sometimes it becomes an monotonously increasing weight increasing process. हर टाइम weight कुछ ऐड हो रहा है ऐड हो रहा है ऐड हो रहा है. So उस चक्कर में आपका weights they can be very variant because हर न्यूरॉन का same adaptability gradient नहीं रहता है. So some weights they may be too high, others may be too low. So sparsity is one way in which we are trying to making them come back to their lower or the smaller values. Okay. So value of the sparsity is between 0.01 and 0.1. Matlab, the restriction on my output which is coming after activation is between these values when we apply sparsity. So this was all about how to optimize our network. So we'll continue further now with CNNs, okay, as per our syllabus. Thank you so much.